How are you today? Gosh, I hope you guys had a great holiday yesterday on Christmas. I know there are people who are still celebrating or yet to celebrate, depending on the specifics of your, actually, usually it's nationality, or I guess people celebrate different in different countries. Anyway, so listen, I just happened to look at the Schumann midday today. Normally I wouldn't make a video at this time. It's Monday. I mean, normally I wouldn't go intraday like this, but it's just so unusual and amazing what's on the chart. So I just thought that I would make some notes on the chart and then share it with you. Now, you might have noticed I'm doing a little bit less beautifying the charts right now. And the reason is I can't type right now. I burned my hand on Friday at the new moon. And it was a drama. Oh my gosh. But it is miraculously healing. Okay. So I can't tell you how much better it is. It is so good. Relative to Friday right now. And I thought I would be typing today, but it looks like it will have to be tomorrow. And so my new moon report is delayed because I didn't have very much more to go to finish it. And then I burned my hand. So that was my new moon experience. So it looks like it will be a full 3 days of healing and meditation on the burn. And then I will be able to publish the new moon report once I just, finish it and get to type the rest of the story. The most amazing thing is that the energy of pink is very associated with the new moon right before Christmas. It was December 23rd, Friday. And I've just been seeing this pink just show up in these amazing places and with different people. And because the new moon was exactly conjunct with a star that is actually a nebula, and the very center of it is pink in the photos from NASA. So I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you. And my hand is doing well. It's, I applied, a set of alternative healing techniques and medical techniques when it happened. And because of that, it is so much better than you would believe, because it should have been a secondary burn, but it really it looks like nothing now. So it's really a blessing. And I'll tell you what, the focused intent of spiritual healing and miraculous healing combined with the real world techniques was very, very helpful. Okay, so now let's talk about the Schumann. But first, could you please like the video and subscribe? That really helps me. So if you could take the time to do that, I would really, really appreciate it. And thank you. Okay, what is unusual about the Schumann Resonance chart? And by the way, this is an intraday chart for the 27th. It is Monday. Well, it's still the 26th where I'm making this chart in the west coast of the USA. This is what the future holds, apparently. No, I'm just teasing. And so this chart is from 0 to 40 hertz. It mirrors human brainwaves. And I'm going to be talking a lot about human brainwaves for this chart. So I just wanted to point that out. It's in the air all around us. It's a non-physical energy. And I use this chart as a map of human consciousness. Now, it's interesting because in my last video, I explained that there was some very interesting stuff going on in yellow, and there almost seemed to be some manipulation. And I just have to wonder about that again in this chart, but also there are natural energies showing on this chart as well. So it seemed to be a combination of both on the chart today. Okay. Now, this is what's amazing here. And I said, wow, unusual light patterns. Okay. Because look, first of all, there's a periodicity to this. Okay. And it's not exact, although by the eye at first, it might look exact, but some of these vertical lines are not, see, like here it's a little wider. I actually went in and looked at that. So for the most part, they're evenly spaced though. And then you have these dots, okay? This is the third time the dots have shown up like this in the higher hertz, this correlates with high beta brain waves. And let me tell you something, okay? It's so amazing. Over the last, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, is when we first saw the first set of dots like this. And since then, I have seen it in interesting places. And it's almost like these dots on the Schumann are highlighting ideas for me. And one of them was a video. I saw it immediately after in a video thumbnail, which was, revealing some truths. Then, I was gifted, it was very sweet, a little trip. And when I went on the little trip, I ended up having breakfast, and the person sitting next to me ended up just being a person who has, is an engineer and works on satellite constellations. And as soon as he said satellite constellations, suddenly, boom, I saw the light pattern in my vision again. Because you know how they are sending all these satellites up into the sky now. And so that happened, and I was like, oh my God, that's just like the pattern on the Schumann. And, well, not exactly like it because, of course, satellite constellations have way more satellites than this. But then speaking to him reminded me of this time that I was up at Mount Shasta, okay? And I'm telling you that the stars lined up like this, okay, where they were periodically spaced, and I was sitting up there with my woo-woo girlfriend from Mount Shasta, and we were looking up at the skies, and of course we saw obvious stuff that was in the sky that was so unusual. That was very cool. But at one point, we were sitting up sort of at the open top of the mountain in the dark, and we were just talking, and I was looking up, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so weird. The stars are like in a perfect line, and they exactly match with those, and didn't look like the regular stars. They exactly match with, it was making like a pattern like this, okay? Dot, 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 dot. And after talking to the engineer, I realized that I must have been seeing a part of a satellite constellation, although that was several years ago. So that was interesting. I guess when was it? Maybe it was 2017 that I saw that. I don't remember exactly. So I just want to say first, it's very interesting to see the dot pattern again, and I'm just tracking it showing up. Second, the very periodic spacing of this is interesting and makes me wonder if it's natural or not. And then the other thing is it's got a different spacing than the usual technological effect. It's much wider. So it's hard to say. When you look here at the spacing of these blue lines, they're not exactly periodic. I mean, just by eye. And I mean, they're a little closer together, but then you look like over here, this does seem to be, here, I'll make it really big. There does seem to be, some, exactly even spacing here, but it's hard to say. Here, there seems to be wider spacing. And anyway, I don't want to get too much into the hair of the dog here, but there is very much a sense of vertical lines. And it makes me even wonder, is this energy coming in from space, or, who knows what this is. Okay, now I want to point out another very interesting thing here. Okay, look at this. This is 8 hertz where I'm putting the green bar. Now, I want to show you, pay attention here. Normally we have a green line at 8 hertz. It is always there. And now that the light has returned, okay, because we passed Christmas, the 25th, okay, and so the light returns. Now, I don't know the exact day that the light starts to expand in Tomsk, where this chart starts, but by the Gregorian calendar, you see there has been a change in pattern after the 25th. Let me show you. I'm going to go back to a few days ago. Okay, so here's the 24th, here's the 25th, and you see we have a certain kind of pattern of light on the chart, and then immediately you get to the 26th and you see that it's changed. I explained in my last video about how there's one more minute of light after a rest, after the solstice, right? After several days, you have darkness, and then you get the 1 minute of light. The light returns. God is always with us. The light always expands after the darkness. And so then we get this in the expansion of light. I'm going to do an intuitive interpretation of this in a minute, but it was interesting to me that in alignment with the natural cycle, the image changed when we had the 1 extra minute on the Gregorian calendar, right, on the 26th. Like I said, it varies depending on the exact day and time. Oh my gosh, they actually have it for Tomsk. Okay, so let's see. Okay, when did the light... dang it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's day length for Tomsk. And this is holidays.info, and they do want their website shared, so that's why I'm showing it to you here, because they're okay with people sharing it. Okay, so they get the 1 extra day of light on they get the 1 extra minute of light on the 27th. Cool. See that? 6:50, 6:50, 6:50. And then 51 on the 27th. Aha, this is so cool. Now let's go back to this. Okay, so they get the 1 extra minute of light on the 27th, which starts here on the chart. Okay, so I don't know. The pattern broke up the day before. But it's interesting. I don't know if I can make a conclusion there. On the Gregorian calendar, it matches 25 to 26. And then they get the extra minute of light on the 27th. So we'll see what the chart looks like in full tomorrow morning for the 27th. It doesn't match exactly. Maybe there should have been another pattern here if it was going to match exactly, but there is some green here, so we'll see if this is blue or what tomorrow. I guess we'll find out. Now, the other really interesting thing is, look, between 16 and 20 hertz, you get this very dramatic line. And this is what I asked. Are we waking up in these areas? This is mid-beta brainwaves, right? This is active thinking. Or are we being held to a specific mode of thinking? It probably depends on the person. We are still in the deep blue here on the chart, where, in my view, there's a little bit of our higher complex thinking that seems offline, right? There's a part of us that is just sort of musing in the energies and spiritually connecting, right? Because this is the higher hertz here at 40. That's the spiritual brainwaves. Okay, so we went through the black chart. Now what I want to show you, and we went through the stories. Now what I want to show you is we went through the Schumann Resonance chart. I want to show you the black chart. Okay, now this is really interesting. Oops, this isn't the chart. Okay, here it is. This is really interesting because this crazy thing is going on when we get the dots and those lines in the mid to high beta brainwaves. Okay, so what I did was, of course, I did an analysis. It's very spiky, okay, and the green and yellow spikes I measured with these vertical lines to see if they occurred at the same time. In the frequencies, they were close, but they were not a match with red. So green and yellow peaking was not an exact match, but it was close. Obviously, the red is the most spiky going on. And the other really interesting thing, we haven't had an expansion like this. It's almost 4 hertz here. It's almost 4 hertz, from 27.4 to 23.8 in green frequency. So very, very wide, and mostly because there was this extraordinary spike here at 9 on the 26th. Now let's see what happened with the amplitude. So here's your amplitudes. There was a lot of spiking here as well. And when I measured them, it was really interesting. They were an exact match with only one exception. So what I did was I matched the peaks here with the red and the green, and then the red and the yellow. The red and the yellow was slightly off in a lot of places, and white really wasn't a very good match, although it's fairly close here, but it's still slightly off, just like yellow. But red and green were very, very, very close together. It's really interesting because I have a hard time understanding whether the amplitude could actually be manipulated. That seems like that, worldwide, that would be extremely difficult to do. And so it's interesting that these are occurring together. So I feel like maybe there's something manipulated going on here with the dots in particular, but there's something natural, some kind of natural, I don't know if it's cyclical, if it's a transmission, an energy, or what that's happening. Now here's the qualities, right? This is, in my view, this is the closest, the higher the quality, the closer the resonance is to the natural truth of what it is, in essence. So I measured this as well, looked at if the spikes match, and they do not exactly match. Green, I measured actually, rather than red. It did not exactly match with the red. And the reason that I did that was because green was so periodic, and so much more tightly together. But the interesting thing about the qualities was that there were highs in red, in yellow, and in green. And all the highs were around 30. We got 26 in red, 32 in yellow, and 30 in green. And I'm going to put these charts out on social media so that you can clearly see them if you really want to. I'll put them on True Social, on Twitter, and on Telegram. So follow me there in any of those spots if you want to see them. So this was really interesting. Okay, so we had high qualities, right, as the light comes. So I'm really feeling myself. That's that line from that song is how I think of the high qualities. Like if we were a human and you had high quality, it would be the closest expression to the truth of your own soul, right? So if red represents the shadow, then we're the closest to understanding or seeing or perceiving the shadow aspects of who we truly are. If it's yellow, we're the closest to seeing and understanding non-physically what's going on in our field, with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our dreams, with our sensations of feeling the energy. And that's going to, the specifics are going to depend on how it is for you personally and where your talents are perceiving and where your focus is. And then green to me is just the strength of humanity in general, the human body. And white is supportive and celestial, expansive. And so in my view, it supports us, but you can see it's not tracking exactly with the other resonances and quality. The white expansion, which isn't very strong, comes before the rest of, it's almost like it gives us a little boost and then says, okay, guys, fly out on your own, like the mother bird and the father bird in the nest, like pushing them out. Okay, so let me just see if there's anything to summarize here in amplitudes. Amplitudes were low. That's this power in the chart. It's low across the board. And frequencies, the most interesting thing is the expansion in green. across the frequency range. And then, of course, the spiking in red. And the expansion in green kind of goes with a high green quality. We get this spike here at 27.4. And I've said that over 25.2, especially when we get to the higher end of the range, I relate that with courage in the human experience, with the human heart sort of leaping forward and us feeling, thinking, acting, being from there. And with the holiday of Christmas just arriving and of course it's celebrated on slightly different days around the world, but on the 25th, or some people celebrate on the 24th. Some people, it's actually the 3 days, including the 26th. And then for some, it's out to January 6th, and I think even January 9th. But we're in the Christmas season. And so the fact that we would expand, our hearts would leap up, and that our hearts would leap up, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there's a natural understanding that the light returns in the Northern Hemisphere after the days of darkness, after the winter solstice. And the reason I relate that with Christmas is, of course, to me, the Christ is the Christ light. And the reason I think about it like that is I focus on the soul. Many Christians will talk about the blood of Jesus Christ, and they emphasize that in talking. But to me, it's the soul that came to embody in human form on the planet. Because I'm focused on energy, because creation begins in energy. So I focus on the Christ light. And to me, the connection with the soul is what is extremely important. Because that's our creative force as living human beings. And so this is why I focus on the Christ light. And because as a spiritual warrior, as a prayer warrior, as an energy worker, as someone who is deeply focused in meditative practices, prayer practices, energy practices, light working practices. I'm speaking to all of you, all of you guys, and to myself. This is where we affect change. This is the key tool of the spiritual warrior. It's the connection with the light that we are. And in my view, the name of that light is the Christ light. And it was fully embodied by Jesus when he came to the earth and, took on human form. And when Jesus said, "This you will do and more," what I have done, this you will do and more. This is what he stated. To me, I focus on the energetic essence of what he said. This you will do and more. And to me, the first thing he did was come here as a fully embodied soul. The soul being the flame, the spark, the essence of the Creator that he was, He 100% in every cell of his body, in every bit of energy that he was. He fully embodied this. And, someone wrote to me in the comments after my last video that Jesus wasn't a real person, I don't have a problem with you believing anything that you want to believe, because you have the free will choice to do that. And my sense was that this person, I just didn't get a sense that they actually really cared, or I would have responded, to that. But in general, here's what I do want to say, because I have considered this question, is Jesus real? Because, of course, because I've gone to church, my whole childhood, I went to church, and because I he's been an important figure to me in my awakening, okay, and in shepherding me through the process and in teaching me about energy. And so, because I read a lot and I study a lot, there are stories, right, of a Jesus type figure coming to earth and being resurrected, and being resurrected in many cultures prior to Jesus' time. So I mused on this and I considered this because I want whatever the truth is. That's what my heart and soul desire. And here's where I came to on this. And I just felt that it was important for me to share about this today. And so I thank the person who made the comment, even though they're now blocked. Because I felt that it was insincere, and this is the second time the person's made an insincere comment. So I'm not big on giving chances anymore because we either resonate or we don't. And then if you bug me, it's over. Because I do not engage with the bugs. Anyway, unless divine guidance instructs me otherwise, and it did not this time. But I do want to give you gratitude and thank you for listening to my videos. But anyway, what I wanted to say was that I've mused on this, and here is the thing. In energy, and like I said, I'm clairvoyant, and so I see energy. I see it as an image in my mind's eye. And in energy, Jesus, in meditating and praying, he has appeared to me many, many times. And he has given me guidance that has worked in my life. I mean, really, that changed my life. That led me from misery to actually feeling love again in incredible and intense ways that improved my life substantially. He has, comforted me. He has apologized to me. I mean, I couldn't even believe it. One time I was in church and they were telling a story of Jesus and he behaved a certain way and I couldn't even believe it. And I was saying to Jesus, why would you do that? Like, I didn't understand. And this is the incredible thing, okay? He asked my forgiveness. He asked my forgiveness. And I couldn't even believe it. Like, how could this even be happening? And I came to understand, okay, that later, as time went on, I came to understand that this passage of the Bible had been misinterpreted. And in communing with Jesus, I came to understand the truth of that passage. Okay, and the way that had been explained to me had been misinterpreted. And despite the fact that I was wrong when I was saying, Jesus, how could you have done it this way? He related with me at the level of my truth until I was able to have a broader perspective and come to him again and say, oops, I'm sorry. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't perceive, I understand the passage better, after I spent time studying it and all this. Now I can't for the life of me remember which exact one it was. And of course, then I was lovingly accepted again. It was just the way that the influence of Jesus, okay, he is a real being. This is my witnessing and my testimony. He is a real being. And as I've said in my recent previous videos, there are real structures. There are real structures and experiences in the non-physical. And it's in my view critical as living human beings that we come to understand this and develop mechanisms for exploring the non-physical, like as a group en masse, okay? And we used to call this religion. And it was very structured, and it only has to be this way or that way. And there are reasons for that, right? Because there are pitfalls in the non-physical as well as amazing spiritual experiences. But the fact is that our lack of understanding and our lack of knowledge has been, in my view, has been hurting us, because we are then able to be fooled, influenced, misled, mistreated, abused even from the non-physical, okay, from the lower forces that toy with us, that parasite upon human beings, that steal our energy, that just enjoy having a good time effing around with us, I mean, it's so chaotic, isn't it? Although chaos is not negative. Sometimes chaos is exactly what we need to change, like when I burned my hand, okay? I burned my hand and I've come to some amazing spiritual insights and amazing insights over events in my life. And now, if you've listened to this far in the video, and you're hearing this now at 30 some minutes, here's my question for you. I've been thinking about doing one-off videos. Like, for example, I really want to talk about what happened when I burned my hand and how it led to these insights, because I think that these can be teaching moments and they can be moments of enjoyable stories. And I've been thinking about doing them separate from the Schumann Resonance, because what I have found is that it's almost like I have, if you have been listening to my videos over a long period of time, what you know is that I hide a lot of information in my videos. Okay, and so what I have been thinking about doing is bringing those out. I hide it under the banner of the Schumann Resonance. And I don't say in the title what I'm going to be talking about. And so really one has had to be very interested and understand that I am secretly sharing these teachings. Look, it's taken me, I'm talking a little bit longer here than I planned to, but it's taken me a long time to be okay with sharing this spiritual information. And I do have Neptune in Scorpio. And once I finally came to understand that, as studying astrology has been a blessing for me, because it's helped me to understand myself at deeper layers in ways that I didn't think were possible, because I thought that I didn't need something like astrology to do that. But thankfully, my friend Andrea sort of just kept talking about astrology, and because I'm good friends with her, I just wanted to listen for her. And then it turned out that she was teaching me. But I'm sure, although I don't exactly recall them, I'm sure that I've had lifetimes where I, probably made vows of secrecy or whatever, because I understand it just innately. I can't even explain how. I understand how the spiritual information has been guarded. The secrets have been guarded, okay, and not allowed to come out, because we were in very dark times. And so in all these ways, the secrets were hidden. And trust me, if there's a way to hide something, I most likely will find it. Okay, let's hide it this way. I don't consciously remember doing that. But now in this life, I have hidden a lot of information in my Schumann videos that are way beyond the Schumann. And I'm just acknowledging that with those of you who stuck around for this long in the video, who really are really engaged and interested and clearly care. And so several years ago, okay, I had these wonderful insights, and I had to go through a process of spiritual development and forgiveness of myself, okay? Because in previous incarnations, there was a lot of drama, and so I had to deal with healing from all of that. And through that process, what the guides showed me, my spiritual guides, what they showed me was that the teaching that I am doing now cannot be misused, okay? Because in the past, and I'm talking about long ago on Earth, there was misuse, okay? And it from the perspective of that particular lifetime that I'm thinking of, it was extremely difficult and it was extremely hard to recover from as a soul. And that is why I have compassion for the people doing very big roles right now. Okay. And I know that I'm small and I have a small channel, but I'm so grateful for my audience. And actually my audience is getting bigger. But there are people doing extraordinarily large roles, the good guys and the bad guys. And I have a lot of compassion for the people on both sides of this. And I especially have compassion for the people who are the bad guys, because it's the sandpaper that polishes the iron, that has rusted and that needs the rust taken off. They bring forward the experiences that suck. Normally, in a bad way, they're terrible for us to go through. And that energy in general, like when there are storms, like when there are events that happen that are unexpected, that are very challenging. But when a person embodies this and then takes a senior, like a very visible role, it is extremely, extremely difficult to recover from that if they have harmed a huge amount of people. Okay, it is extremely difficult, especially if they did it and they weren't in dark mastery. They weren't attempting to, they thought they were doing the right thing. Okay, even if they were arrogant, even if they were, it seems like they should know better. Okay. But for whatever reason, they think they're doing the right thing. They actually think that. That is extremely difficult to recover from as a soul. It can take thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years to recover from that in certain circumstances. Now, with divine grace, that can be recovered from much, much more easily. At any rate, so what I'm saying is that I was shown that this time it cannot be misused. And the reason that what I'm teaching now cannot be misused is because, whether or not you have realized it or not, listening to my videos, I am teaching from a fifth dimensional perspective. I do not teach from fourth dimensional perspectives. That's why I don't engage with the bugs, because they are on the fourth dimension or the second dimension, whatever. But I only teach, okay, and also that's what I've been guided by my spiritual guides. I put my guides between me in them. And when I don't, it's a drama, okay? Have I gotten tricked into that? Yes, okay. Was it a drama? Yes, okay. So anyway, luckily the pitfalls have been much fewer this time around. So anyway, I'm teaching from a fifth dimensional perspective. The information can be used by those who understand a fifth dimensional perspective. And if you are connected in the heart, if you can pray and commune with God, if you can achieve 0 point in energy, if you can, experience that elevated 5D energy, some people might not exactly describe it as 0 point because before you can actually hold 0 point in your field, you can get there, okay? But it can only be acted upon and understood from a fifth dimensional perspective. And so therefore, it's possible that what I'm teaching is for the future or for those building the future. I don't really know. But for some reason, I've just been guided to share that with you today. this is just how I feel to talk about today. My teaching is from a fifth dimensional perspective, and I guess the guides finally help me to understand, okay, that it cannot cause a disaster this time around. It cannot be sabotaged. It cannot be misused. It cannot be I don't know. It's okay to bring it out now. And it's taken me years to get to where I could say that, and then to get to where I started sharing it. And now I'm willing to unhide it. And so if you think that it's a good idea, then that you would listen to videos where it was simply just these spiritual concepts or energy concepts, I would like to know if you think that's a good idea, and if you would listen to it. That's the first thing, or the second thing. And the first thing was that I wanted to share that I have experienced Jesus as a real being. And I don't know if the time that he came to earth was the first time, or if it was again, and he keeps just coming again and again and again until some culture gets it, holds on to it, lives it, awakens to it, to his message. Okay? In my view, I know there are previous stories. I think it's the same being because I can see him. I value his words and energy. He is what led to my awakening. His guidance has worked in my life. The energy practices I have learned from him have worked in my life and with others, and I am grateful for his guidance and the relationship that I have with him. And I normally don't talk about Jesus. I grew up at a time where we were taught to keep secret the practice of our religion and to not talk about it in day-to-day experiences. And guess what that's got us as a culture? It's got us a bunch of crap, excuse me. I mean, the demoralization, the lost people, the obscenity, the horrible stretching of the Overton window into great darkness and just showing that in front on a TV screen, like in front of us. This is where not speaking about our faith has gotten us. So I will be speaking about my faith. And I feel like, sometimes I feel like I don't know where I belong because I was raised Christian. I was raised Catholic. I am a believer in Jesus's words, but I have a very non-traditional way of talking about it. And so I often feel very awkward. And yet, when I have my human energy workshops, I call you all the church ladies. The church ladies come and we just groove on these concepts. And also the other ladies who practice, they came from meditation, they came from being star girls, or, it's mostly women who've come to my workshops. I have had a couple men, and you're welcome. The men are obviously welcome. But it's really been a lot of women, and you guys are like sisters to me, like soul sisters, star sisters. I've been so grateful for your presence, and it won't be until after the natural new year that I bring out an engaging human energy workshop again. What I want to do first is to start reaching people where you don't have to be there at a certain time, and you don't have to show your face. Not everybody wants to show their face. Not everybody can listen quietly for 2 hours. Not everybody, wants their name to be known, and all this stuff. So I would like something downloadable where I can share something with you, and it doesn't matter if it's 2 a.m, you can listen to it on your own time. So that is my focus to work on as we close out the natural new year. This is the start of the calendar year, but it is the 4th quarter. Okay, we're moving into the 4th quarter here of the natural new year. And so if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's the time to dream on the seeds, right, of your dreams for the spring. And the spring is the start of the natural new year, at the equinox and the new moon at that time. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're at probably midsummer, right? And so you're looking forward to the harvest in the fall, and you're taking your actions, raising your crops, working on your dream. And from a northern hemisphere perspective, we can take steps, right, in the direction of what we want to roll out in a very big way at the natural new year. And Jupiter has been at 0 degrees. I did a video on that, and it's worth watching for these energy themes, even though that happened, actually it happened on December 20th. But with Jupiter at 0 Aries, this is huge, okay? This is big energy for innovation, for pioneering, for moving forward. And so this is, it just so perfectly blends for me for wanting to bring something out that's new, that's innovative, and bring it out unhidden under the Schumann Resonance, and bring it out to be on its own now. So for me, it's like, here's my baby, here's my, my beautiful new thing, but it's been here all along. And I'd love to hear your comments on it. And I hope that you had a wonderful holiday. Best wishes for the new calendar year. May it be all that you wish for, and in alignment with your highest good. And I would also just say a prayer that whatever challenges we face, that we know that God wins. We know that darkness is turned to light, even more so and faster when we intend this, and bless the challenging experiences and look for the opportunities and look for the up-leveling. And I know that many people are also experiencing sort of very hard times, whether it's economically, whether someone has passed away. And believe me, I was crying on Christmas Day as well. So, we had good times, but also I had my mourning. So I'm with you there. And it's hard to take the blessing, right? It's hard to focus on the blessing, because we do need time for healing. When we have had someone we care about pass away, but the knowing that the blessing will be there. You know, sometimes we can't even deal with that concept. Okay, let's just be honest, when it's fresh. And for me, it's taken years to get to now where I'm sitting here going, okay, finally, I can move through. I can just really cry over this and mourn, because that's important. And then I know that having been in that, like this Christmas, and not the whole time, but I took a time period out to mourn, okay? I know, and I'm intending it for the natural new year. I'm intending in the spring, you know, that I might feel the blessing of this somehow, and that I can let go of the pain, you know, in this particular area. And perhaps that will be another story that is unhidden as I move forward, doing videos and sharing with you all. God bless you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.